Just talking with Tom. Turn your dial to cable 18. You will see the best in TV. Just talking with Tom. Just talking with Tom. Sit back and listen. You will hear the best conversation of the year. Just talking with Tom. Just talking with Tom. Just talking with Tom. Just talking with Tom.
Welcome to Talking with Tom. I'm Tom Dacey alongside Ed McCarver once again.
Hello, Tommy. Good to see you once again. Seems like we just left. Look, we're back here again.
We had so much fun the last time. We had to bring our guest back for some more.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this will be the last half hour we had with this guest was very informative. So it's very nice that she agreed to come back, and we'll do another 30 minutes of interesting discussion.
Please help me welcome once again Executive Director of the Wallingford Housing Authority, Kelly Mcdermott.
Tom?
Welcome back, Kelly.
It's a pleasure to be back.
You're an old pro here, Kelly.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. I had so much fun.
Were you nervous last time?
No. Never.
It doesn't show. We were scared to death.
Oh, no.
On the last show, we touched a little bit on the history of the Housing Authority. On this program, I'd like to talk a little bit about the residents' perspective.
Okay, great.
And some of the services for the residents and things along that line.
Absolutely.
Now, one of the things that you've been doing, you're very, very visible to the residents since you've been here, and I know that you have brown bag lunches.
Yeah. So when I first started, I really wanted to have the opportunity for all of the residents to get to know me and who I am and sort of the direction that I wanted to set and the tone I wanted to set for my time here with the Wallingford Housing Authority. And I thought the best way to do that was to schedule monthly brown bag lunches at every site, including our family site, where I would come with my lunch, and I invited the residents to have their lunch with me at every community room. And it's been very informative. You know, you don't just sit and talk about what's going on at the properties. You get to know each other, and you get to know the likes and the interests of our residents and, you know, just the communities that exist at every site. So it's been a really great opportunity.
Well, what gave you that idea? I know you said on the last program that you had spent, I think it was 10 years in the Bridgeport Housing Authority and also East Hartford. And I would just think just the size of those two communities might make it tough. But what gave you the idea to do this for Wallingford? So
I come from a background of social work, and I went to college with for a social work degree, and a lot of that is always involving group dynamics and how do you work with individuals as well as communities of people. And even during my time at the city of Bridgeport and East Hartford, which are much larger communities than Wallingford, the best way to actually talk about your message or the initiatives that you're trying to promote is to actually get out there and meet people. It's one thing for me to send my residents notices on a regular basis and say, hey, you know what, we're going to do this now. But it's another when I say, yeah, we're going to do this, why don't we go talk about it and meet me in the community room on this day, and I'll tell you about our snow policy for the year, or I'll tell you about our upcoming changes to the pet policy, or why don't you just come have lunch with me and tell me what you think are some of the issues we need to be working on. And we did a lot of this in East Hartford to rebuild community when it's broken. And in Bridgeport, it was informative to the process because we had so many different groups of stakeholders, and trying to coordinate all those different messages, you just really need to bring them into a forum. And even in a community like here in Wallingford, a community meeting and a brown bag lunch is very effective for that, building relationship. And that's what it's about.
The first time you did it work out? Did a lot of people come for lunch? Or?
Yes. And you know what I experienced? I would be sitting there eating my lunch, and everyone was watching me eat my lunch. And I was like, do you guys eat lunch? And they, oh, we don't eat until 2 o'clock. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. I need to eat every 2 hours. So how can you guys only eat at 2 o'clock? But so I kind of learned to you know, not expect others to eat with me. But people still come out, and I sit there and I have my lunch, and it's a little comical. We make jokes about it, but it was an icebreaker.
It wasn't a gripe station. People didn't come out and complain about different things.
You know what? The first one was. Absolutely. When I came in May, all of our residents knew transition was taking place, and they knew that transition was going to happen for months. And so what that does is create a little bit of unrest. Oh, who's this new person? When are they starting?
Fear of the
who
unknown,
are they?
sort of
You know,
Absolutely.
is this going to be the same, or is it going to be worse? It's always going to be worse, you know. Or
so they're a little defensive.
Yeah, we all
in,
as humans get real nervous
Yep.
and have different levels of anxiety when change happens.
Yep.
And so the first few lunches were very much about, we don't like this, we don't like this, what are you going to do about this? And I said, oh, thank you for letting me know, I'll get back to you, I'll get back to you. And one of the changes we also made, which is sort of in line with this, is at our board meetings, when tenants bring up their concerns during public session, we have a specific designated spot on the agenda where a month later, if I wasn't able to answer your question at that board meeting, I'm going to answer it at the next one. So, you know, residents can feel confident that they're being heard by management, and we're going to, if we can't make something change, we'll at least let you know why or what that reason is, or if we can do something, we'll let you know what we're doing about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that you just touched on, which was a personal issue for me, was the pet policy. And I remember having the meetings on that, and everybody got to give their input.
Yes.
And I thought that was a really valuable session to have that, and you were very open to people's suggestions. And I think the new policy we have in place is a good one.
Yeah, we made a few changes based on that discussion. And I think what's important, too, and I say this to all of our residents, I say this to my board, is that when there's a conflict, it doesn't mean you should just shut down and be afraid of that conflict. The nature of that will move us forward in a new direction. There's always going to be an outcome from that. So don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid to tell me when you have an issue, and don't be afraid of the process of how we get through it.
Do you still have the brown bag lunches, and are they a lot less volatile than they were?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, now it's more of, hey, what'd you do this month? You know, I saw you guys were out here and you did inspections, or, you know, at Southside Terrace, they just put up their holiday decorations in the community room. So I'm very sure when I go out there next week for brown bag lunch, everyone's going to be like, oh, look at what we did this weekend, and this one brought this in, and this is from this person. And it's much more of a community-like environment. And we still talk about the issues. It's much more relaxed, and I think people feel that it's a much more safe place to communicate what's actually going on.
Good.
Yeah.
And of course, this couldn't be done when New Haven was running it, right? They couldn't bring a representative down to look at it, so.
No.
You know,
Well, they had active office staff.
Yeah, they did.
But without a full-time executive director who really guides the policy.
That's what we were lacking at the time.
Staff are doing their job to maintain operations.
Okay.
And, you know, I think it's important that I am there as a full-time person really leading the staff and what I feel is important and what's the direction the authority needs to go in on a daily basis. Yeah.
And one of the other things with our housing authority, we were the first ones to establish our tenant council and elect our own tenant commissioner.
Yes, you were. In the state of Connecticut, the town of Wallingford was the first community to make that happen.
Really?
Yes.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. And you want to talk a little bit about how you work closely with the tenant council?
Absolutely. So,
which I am also on, by the way.
Yes, Tom is on the tenant council. And the Wallingford tenant council might have actually bumped into me before I became director of Wallingford, because they were very active in East Hartford because of their experience in organization with a group called PHRN, the Publicly Assisted Resident Housing Network, which is a statewide organization working with residents to build tenant councils. So I did a lot of work with PHRN in East Hartford. Wallingford reps were up there. So there was some leadership coming out of Wallingford around tenant organizing. And I will say, our tenant council meets on a regular basis. They have an active executive board.
We actually have a meeting tomorrow.
We do have a meeting tomorrow that I have been invited to be a part of. And they operate as a very effective organization in making change happen on the resident level. And I know Tom could talk to you about all of their work. But since I have been at the Housing Authority, it was very important for me at the beginning to do some outreach to the Tenant Council and just sort of establish that relationship that, you know, the Housing Authority is interested in working in a very collaborative way with the Tenant Council on a variety of projects. And actually what we're going to be talking about at tomorrow's meeting is future redevelopment of some of our sites and how can we access funding from the state to make updates to our properties as they're getting older. So we want them involved in the conversation.
And you just recently had an event that you took upon yourself for the residents.
I did. So last time I brought in this great piece of history from the Housing Authority's basement vaulted archive.
The McKenna Christmas, yes,
McKenna Christmas court picture. And our authority used to hold all sorts of parties. We were in parades, we built floats. We were just very active, so I decided we were going to have a Halloween costume party this year. And actually, Tom, I brought a picture of you from the Halloween costume party today. You can see Tom down in the corner there.
We're on the lower right, so.
Look at that scary costume.
And it was, and this is only some of the group. It was really hard to kind of squeeze everybody into this corner, but we had about 30 residents come out to our reintroduction of a costume party. And
I see Jack Sparrow's looking well there.
Yeah, and we had a few great witch hats, and it was a very good time. We did some fun and exciting art activities, and we also talked about some of the future events coming up at the house.
Now, is this something they hadn't had before your arrival?
It had sort of fallen off. So if you look at boxes of pictures from the 90s and early 2000s, we had a very active, they called it a Sunshine Club. And the Sunshine Club would plan plays or costume parties like the one that you saw a picture of, spaghetti dinners. And, you know, I'm big in community, and, you know, if we can reintroduce some of those every now and then, I think that's great for us and our residents.
Nice.
Yeah. We all have to live together.
Yeah, and that was a fun time that day, I got to say, and a lot of the tenant council representatives were there.
Yeah. Now, Tom, you don't know about this, but I also brought another picture of you. The Housing Authority, I don't know, the Housing Authority also participated in Celebrate Wallingford this year.
Oh, okay, back in October.
Which was an idea that came from our maintenance staff, and I was really excited when they brought this up, and they were like, oh, we got to bring our trucks out and our plow equipment out and show the town that we're here and, you know, we're part of this community. So Tom showed up to Celebrate Wallingford, and this is us. You can't really see our equipment, but our table is behind us. This is me and Jonna Pompiano, who is our property manager, and yeah, Tom paid us a nice visit that day. So it was really great. Yeah.
Very nice. What did you think of? I'm assuming it was your first Celebrate Wallingford.
It was. You know what? I loved how everybody is out there. The food was fantastic.
Yes.
I really just enjoyed having this. You know, whenever you're in a town and they shut the street down, and it's just a really great.
It's like a giant block party.
Yeah, it's just really
it was
great.
Fun.
Yeah, we saw a lot of people. They were in the middle of election season here in Wallingford, so a lot of the folks who were on the ballot came up and started talking to us and just informing us about how long they've been in Wallingford and
different issues.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah. And it was interesting. This past last year, Celebrate Wallingford was it's usually the first weekend, but because of the threat of a hurricane, I think it was Hurricane Joaquin was supposed to come up. They actually pushed it back 2 weeks.
2 weeks,
but it was very successful.
And it turned out to be very cold that week.
Yes, it was chilly.
So now I have a new piece of history here with Tom Dacey and the Housing Authority that I can add to our wall in a few years. Yes.
We're talking with Kelly Mcdermott, the Executive Director of the Wallingford Housing Authority. You've been here since May. I know, was it East Hartford or Bridgeport you were for 10 years?
Bridgeport.
Bridgeport, 10 years. Yep. Do you see yourself, and I don't know if it's too early to make a commitment, do you see yourself appearing with Tom and I 10 years from now on Talking with Tom?
I think that would be fantastic, Ed. I am here for 3 years under contract currently.
Okay.
And I would expect at this point to want my contract to move forward after that period of time. But when I took the position, I think the Board of Commissioners and I both felt that 3 years was a good amount of time for us to really develop a relationship, create a strategic plan for the organization that would map out the next 5 years and really figure out what direction we wanted to go in. Time shorter than that wouldn't have given me enough space to do all I want to do. Yep. And a time longer than that wouldn't necessarily have given the authority the opportunity to really fully engage at the right time in a change-making decision.
So a 3-year contract is a good fit?
I think it's a great fit,
okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yes, and I know since you've been here, I know that the meetings have been a lot shorter.
Our board meetings?
Yeah.
I don't know. They seem long to me. You know, we still go on for 2.5 hours sometimes. But yeah.
I've been there for marathon sessions, believe me.
Oh, okay.
So board meetings mean B-O-R-E-D board or B-O-A-R-D board?
I hope they're never bored. I do a lot of talking at these meetings.
Who decides that they want to offer you, say, 3 years from now? Is it the Board of Commissioners that makes the decision?
Correct?
Yep.
Okay.
I serve at the pleasure of the Board of Commissioners, and they do an annual review of my performance. When I signed the contract, I had a 3-month probationary period, which I successfully moved through. Good. And annually, my contract will be reviewed in May, and that's at a board meeting. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And we should mention there's, what, 5 commissioners? Yeah.
So the Housing Authority, I know I talked about this a little bit last time, is established by municipal ordinance. And because we're a separate entity, we have a Board of Commissioners that governs us. Those positions are appointed, with the exception of one, our tenant commissioner, by town council here in the town of Wallingford. So our current commissioners, our tenant commissioner is Jerry Bronner, and she is elected.
I know that name.
Yeah, it's Jerry Bronner, who lives at McKenna Court, and she is elected by our tenant population. So when that position is up for a vacancy or that term is expiring, we do a vote to a nomination process and then a vote process, and that's directed by state law and statute. And then our other 4 board members, our acting chairman is Bob Wiedemann. He lives here in Wallingford and works for Sunwood Development Company, who he owns and operates. Frank Stellato also lives in town. You have to live in town to be on the board, I should say that, so I don't need to qualify everyone. But Frank Stellato, Nick Lombardi, and then Mike McCann. And so they're all serving at various different term lengths. Mm-hmm.
We're talking with Kelly Mcdermott, Executive Director of the Wallingford Housing Authority. Walk us through a typical day. I'm assuming yours is not the normal 9 to 5, weekends off.
Well, I shouldn't give myself away.
So,
because then maybe people will come and find me. But I usually get to work around 7:15 in the morning. Okay. Our office starts at 8 a.m. And for me, I get the most work done when it's quiet in the morning. Usually everyone comes in around 8 o'clock. Mondays, I have a mandatory maintenance staff meeting. Every Monday I'm at McKenna Court at 8 a.m. Tuesdays I have my office staff meeting, and then once a month we all get together as a team. So depending on the day, I'm in a staff meeting in the morning. Okay. And I know a lot of residents call and Kelly's in a meeting, and they're like, oh, she's always in a meeting. But there's a lot of folks to talk to. And then I'm involved in overseeing not just the maintenance side of the operation and our asset management, but also on the housing side where we're doing lease-ups. There's lease violation work that has to be done, lease compliance work, financial management and operations of the agency. We administer a Section 8 program, which is outside of our portfolio that needs to be managed. We also oversee the Housing Opportunity District in town. So you want to say you plan your day, but you know, you kind of just go where the work takes you in that particular day. Obviously, I have a list of tasks that I need to accomplish on a weekly basis, and those priorities for me as an individual change. But I'm a support to our staff first, which is why I come in early. And if I need to, I'm late. I stay late to get what I need to get done. But I'm committed to what needs to happen at the organization. And I know Tom can say this. I do take calls and return calls from all of our residents who call me. And I know some people want me to call them back in 10 minutes or, 30 seconds. But within 2 days, typically, at the most, I get back to everybody. You're also going to see me on site often. So if I'm not out there at any site on a particular day, I'm somewhere. But I'm out on our sites often, and that keeps me visible, as Tom mentioned at the beginning. I want to be accessible not just to my staff, but also to residents. And so I stay very busy.
That's the key right there.
So weekends can be tied up depending on the events of happens that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, some people might say I'm a workaholic, but I think when you are dedicated to the mission of your work, you just want the housing authority to be successful.
Well, I remember you had mentioned on the last show about the passion you have for the position, and it's obvious that it shows. So part of the passion is...
It's not just work, it's... when you dedicate your life to something, that's who you are and that's what you're doing, and so you're committed to it, and you become a piece of the fabric of that as well. I always say this is my work family, and you spend 8 hours of your day at work, and you have to love it, and you spend sometimes more time at work than you do at home with your family, and it's what is that work-life balance, but you have to really love what you're doing. And so my day today, for example, is very interesting. I came in on time today at 8 o'clock because I knew I was going to be here with you guys tonight. But in the middle of the day, I had gotten pulled away to go over to one of our sites just to inspect some work that was being done. And on the way out of there, I ended up stopping at every site on the way back to the office to pick some stuff up at the community rooms and touch base with our key holders. So that kind of shifted the day a little bit, but that was nice. And in the break in between, the staff leave at 4. I got here at about 6, and it was nice to kind of just get things in order. So.
You don't have to be anywhere after
And
this.
during all that, she had the time to call me today.
Yeah.
I did call Tom. I saw Tom on the street. Yeah.
And I know we have a couple of events coming up for the residents, too.
We do. So the Housing Authority receives funding in a grant from the state of Connecticut called the Housing Authority Small Improvement Fund. And we apply for money every year for each of our sites. And this year, one of our programs is called Cultural Enrichment. And we're doing some trips to different places. And our Resident Services Coordinator has been working with the Tenant Council to sort of identify what those trips are going to be, where we're going to go, when we're going to go. So,
like day trips in the state, things of that nature?
Yes. So in the month of December, we went to the Newport Mansions on a bus trip.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Which was really exciting and a great opportunity for us. And we do have some other upcoming events that aren't set in stone, but one of them is going to be a mystery cruise down the Connecticut River where you get to have dinner and you sit on the boat out of Essex and you participate in this mystery dinner. The other component to this program is some cognitive learning activities. We're doing more arts and crafts stuff this year.
Okay.
In the past, we focused on games and team building like bingo and cards and tai chi and health. So this year, we're going to be spending time doing arts and crafts and coloring and other activities that keep the mind engaged.
And painting red pumpkins?
And painting red pumpkins like we did at that costume party that we were at. Yeah.
The turkeys were great, though, too. The turkeys
oh, yeah. Every Thanksgiving, our Resident Services Coordinator, she's great. She runs around and sort of pulls strings with the Social Services Department. And this year, First Baptist Church here in Wallingford cooked food for all of our sites. And they had a Thanksgiving dinner on that Saturday after Thanksgiving.
And let me tell you, it was delicious.
Yeah, and I heard a lot of folks came out to it.
I happened to see one of the women from the church when the Connecticut Food Bank came to McKenna.
Yep.
And I told her, I said, this turkey was out of this world. I said,
Oh,
it was
good.
fantastic.
Good. It's a lot of fun, and all of our residents really enjoy that time of year. Another fun thing we did in the month of November was a workshop on how to get ready for snow. And this workshop was led by our maintenance team, and we actually had them demonstrate for our residents how to walk outside in the snow, which was a really fun workshop. It got everyone up and moving.
The short steps.
The
penguin shuffle.
Oh, the penguin walk. Oh, okay.
The penguin
All right.
shuffle. You normally walk upright and straight, but if you're out in the snow, you're not going to want to step on ice. You're going to want to kind of shuffle through it and lean forward a little bit.
Now, is this something they never had before at the...
Never had this before, no.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun. And I think, you know, I might be pushing a little bit of limits with some of our staff, you know, who aren't used to doing presentations like I could talk all day. But it's nice to see everybody getting involved in this communication.
We would just get the generic notices in our door, you know, about keep items off your porch so they could shovel and, you know, snow blow, but nothing like what we're getting now.
Yeah, where you have maintenance staff showing you how to shuffle. Fantastic. I should have put a video on for that, but I didn't bring it.
We're talking to Kelly Mcdermott, the Executive Director of the Wallingford Housing Authority. We always ask a lot of we'll ask musicians this, or again, athletes, things like that. What's the best part of your job, and what's the worst part?
Ooh, the best part of my job? Let me start with the worst part of my job.
Oh,
Dealing with me.
How about that?
Dealing with me.
No, how about
That's the worst
that?
part of my job.
I think when you're working, this is something I always say too. You know, I manage housing, and my residents live there every day. That's their home. And a lot of times a conflict exists because I'm not there every day and all day. So I may not understand what it feels like to live there. There's a lot of feelings involved in my work. Sometimes you get angry, frustrated, you know, you don't understand why you're not communicating a message properly. So the worst part is really learning how to control your own emotions and how do you get through the day without letting that kind of eat away at you. And then the other side of that is really watching people work together. So there's the opposite of those feelings. You know, you get through those tough situations, and the best part for me is watching the community that's created as a result. We have some issues that come up at different times and at different sites. One example Tom might know about is gardening at his site, or overgrown landscaping around, you know, the perimeter of our property and how that impacts everybody. And there's a struggle when you're going through trying to get to the end. But during that process, you're working together, you're communicating, and at the end, everyone comes out with the outcome that they are satisfied with. And that's really the best part, is watching everybody at the end just be like, wow, we made it through, this is great, we're all happy. So. Yep. That's the best part for me.
What's the worst?
The actual feelings. All of that process. It's good and bad for me. You know?
It's not dealing with me?
Yeah.
I'm reminded of a story years ago. I met someone who was a nursing student in college, and I remember they actually asked her to change her major because she got so close to the patients, so close to the people she was treating, that when the results unfortunately happened, she would get too emotionally involved. Yeah, it impacted her. So. Yeah. But Kelly, you're awesome.
Oh,
I want to move in. Throw Tom out. I want to move in.
Come join us at the Housing Authority.
I want to go to that costume party next year.
You don't need a costume. That's for sure.
You can be Tom's guest. Come on down.
You're already wearing your mask.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, we've got about a minute and a half.
Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I think I can't stress enough how much it's great for me to be here in Wallingford. And I'm excited.
It's also great for Wallingford, it sounds, too.
I'm excited to keep building relationships with our community partners and, you know, our town officials. We have great relationships in this town with the police department, fire department, mayor's office, and then our local providers, you know. So it's been really great building those relationships and getting to know everyone here. So I just hope that continues.
Well, it's been our gain since you've been here.
Yeah, I agree.
I
agree.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for the pictures.
I want to thank you once again. It's been a pleasure.
Tom. Thank you.
And I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Ed?
Thank you. Another fast half hour in the books.
We want to thank our crew once again in the back, Tom and Alan.
Yep, another yeoman job.
And we want to thank everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Nice.
Yep.
Just talking with Tom. Just talking with Tom. Turn your dial to cable 18. You will see the best in TV. Just talking with Tom. Just talking with Tom. Sit back and listen. You will hear the best conversation of the year. Just talking with Tom. Just talking with Tom. Just talking with Tom. Just talking with Tom.